Hey everybody, welcome to Skills on Sunday for August 2nd, 2020. I'm your host, DM Gallibond. Alright everyone, today on Skills on Sunday, we are going to be looking at the Intimidation skill and how it has evolved over the various editions of D&D. And we will start, as we always do, by looking at the skill in 5th edition. Alright, Intimidation is using overt threats, hostile actions, and physical violence. And it's a charisma check to try to extract information from a player character, or an NPC, I'm sorry. So maybe questioning a prisoner, or you might be trying to make street thugs back down from a confrontation, or use an improvised weapon like the neck of a broken bottle to cause some shopkeeper or smug minor official to give you information if they're being if you think they're maybe involved in something shady, and your your party is trying to figure out what is going on. So that would be an intimidation check. Now, Intimidation, like I said, is Charisma in 5th edition, and it's been Charisma ever since 3rd edition, but it's kind of interesting the way it started out. In the original rules of D&D, it actually was considered a strength skill. And in this edition, the way it was described and the way it was talked about is very similar to 5th edition. So you're trying to bully NPCs into doing what you want them to do, and when you're successful, it means they're intimidated into doing the character's will. But it explicitly says in the original rules that it cannot be used against other PCs. And I tend to agree with that. I tend to run my tables where players cannot try to use their skills to manipulate other players or other PCs. It's something that, the players are a team, and there's only rare circumstances, such as when one of the players or one of the PCs maybe is possessed by either some kind of cursed item or possessed by some monster or something like that, that would be only the kind of time where you might in fact find that or where there's mind control or something like that going on. That would be a time when there would be opposed skill checks against each other. Now, obviously, there are times when a player wants to do something sneakily, and they can use sleight of hand, and unless other PCs or other players have any reason to tell the DM, hey, we're actually trying to look at that, then it would just be a sleight of hand against the passive perception of the other characters, and whether they would get away with what they're trying to do or not. And then another interesting tidbit in the original rules is that it doesn't work at all on PCs or NPCs of 5th level or higher. Now, just after they've said that you cannot use this skill against PCs, they say it cannot be used against player characters of 5th level or higher. And that's because there are NPCs that can try to use intimidation against a party. So, for instance, if the party is in a town where there's maybe a strongman type of noble that's in charge, and that noble may, have the guards drag them in front of, the noble in their great hall or something, and the noble sits there flanked by maybe their court wizard and a bunch of really well armed uh, fighters and things like that. Then the NPC might try to use an intimidate against the PCs. And that would be a role where basically the um, DM would roll it, and based on that roll, the DM would either say, "Yeah, he looks pretty intimidating," or it, or the DM would say something like, if he got a bad roll, it'd be like, "He's trying to be intimidating, but actually he looks like he's kind of hiding behind all of these guards." So it's more of a way to give information to the PCs about the motives of the NPC than really trying to manipulate the PCs by using a skill against them. All right, so that's how intimidation worked in the original rules. First edition and second edition, they didn't have skills. Intimidation wasn't part of that. Shows back up in third edition when they reintroduce skills. And this time it is a charisma skill. And so then when we look at the actual guts of this skill, very similar to what 5th edition says. Get a bully to back down, frighten an opponent, make a prisoner give you information you want. Intimidation includes verbal threats and body language. Now, there's a passive opposed check in 3rd edition. So when you roll Intimidate, it's 1d20. It's opposed by, on the NPC's part, 1d20 plus the NPC's level or hit dice, plus their wisdom bonus, if any, plus their modifiers on saves against fear. So if they're second level and they have a +1 on wisdom and a +3 on fear, then it's going to be 2, and 1 more is 3, and 3 more is 6. So it'll be a d20 plus 6 that you're trying to oppose when you try to intimidate that character. Now, in 5th edition, if there's any kind of opposed roll, it might be something like an Intimidate versus an Insight. Intimidation, and then, Insight. Okay, is this person like being serious, or is this person bluffing? Or is this person do they just look ridiculous instead of intimidating? So that is the way it worked in 3rd edition. Beat your target's check result. You may treat the target as friendly, but only for purpose of actions taken while it remains intimidated. So you sort of get them cowed, and then you go and play the. All right. Well, now all you've got to do to make sure that we don't hurt you or the people you care about is just tell us where the MacGuffin is, so that we can go and get the MacGuffin and get on our way and get to the next part of our story. That's all we care about. We don't want to cause you any more trouble. So just tell us what we need so that we don't have to break your arms. And you can do that. You can be friendly towards them, or you can just try to demoralize them. You can go all drill sergeant on them. You worthless maggots. Something like that. And then the actions you can take, it varies depending on what you're trying to do. Try again. They usually recommend not allowing you to try again against the same NPC in the same scene, because it usually doesn't work. And then there's special bonuses and penalties, ranging on things from the circumstances, like if you're that party being led in front of the king that's sitting on his throne, surrounded by all of his uh, guards and his court wizard and things like that. If you try to intimidate that king, you'd probably have a pretty big penalty to that because he's the king and he's the one that has all the guards at his command. And you're just a bunch of adventurers. uh, so, that might be something. Or if you are a small creature, like if you're a halfling, and halfling armed with a garden rake, and you're trying to intimidate a hill giant, yeah, you probably are going to have a big penalty on that. But if you're a you know if you're a Goliath or something like that, and you're trying to intimidate a lone goblin, well, you might have a pretty big bonus because you're this big hulking strong thing, and his goblin is this little scrawny thing, and he doesn't have all of his goblin friends to help him out. So you probably have a pretty big bonus on your hands there. All right, and then in 4th edition, Intimidate is a class skill, and again, it's Charisma. So that matches 3rd and 5th edition. Class skill for fighters, paladins, rogues, warlocks, and warlords. And the Intimidate skill, again, influence others through hostile actions, overt threats, and deadly persuasion. Deadly persuasion might be, 8 bandits jump your party of 4 in an alley. By the time you have 6 of the bandits bleeding out on the ground, the other 2 injured there, well, now you can have a pretty good bonus to your intimidation because you've just beat the crap out of most of their friends. And if they don't want the same thing to happen to them, maybe they'd better do what you tell them to do. So you can use it in combat encounters or as part of a skills challenge. And then opposed checks would be Intimidate versus Will. Success, you may force a target to surrender, get a target to reveal secrets of its will against its will, or cow a target into taking some other action. And failure, if you attempted to intimidate a target during combat, you can't try again. And then when the target becomes hostile, or if the target becomes hostile, they get actual bonuses against their will defense. So if they are hostile, they'll get a +10 bonus to their will defense modifier. And then if they are unfriendly, they get a +5 bonus to that will defense. All right, so that is the intimidation check for D&D. If you like what we're doing here on this channel, please go ahead and subscribe, like this video, click the post notification bell. That'll let you know every time a new piece of content drops on the channel. In the description, you'll find information about all of the social media platforms and the live streams that I do. And in the comments, if you have used, there was a memorable moment in any of your games where you used intimidation, go ahead and leave that. I would enjoy seeing whether it was something that the PCs did or it was something that an NPC did as the DM portrayed it. It would be kind of fun to see that. All right, everyone, take care. Have a wonderful week. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and we will see you next time here on the channel. All right. Good night, everybody.